I need to write this down. Maybe someone will believe me. Maybe someone can help. Or at least, if I disappear, there'll be a record of what happened to me. My name is Michael Brennan. I'm 42 years old, and until a few months ago, I was living a pretty normal life in Charleston, West Virginia. I had a decent job in IT at a big tech company, a small apartment, and a cat named Pixel. Nothing exciting, but it was stable. Then I stumbled across some files I shouldn't have seen. The company was doing some seriously shady stuff with user data, the kind of thing that could ruin lives if it got out. I couldn't just let it slide. So I did what I thought was right. I blew the whistle. Big mistake. Within a week, I was fired. Not just fired, blacklisted. Suddenly no tech company in the state would touch me. My savings dwindled and I started falling behind on rent. I was desperate, scanning job boards for anything that would pay the bills. That's when I saw the ad. Night receptionist needed, Whispering Pines Motel, Fayetteville, West Virginia. $50 per hour. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. No experience necessary. Immediate start. It seemed too good to be true, but I was in no position to be picky. I called the number and a gruff voice told me to come in that night for an interview. No resume needed. The drive to Fayetteville took about an hour. The sun was setting as I pulled up to Whispering Pines Motel. It was one of those old-school L-shaped motels you see in movies, 2 stories of rooms arranged around a central parking lot. The neon sign flickered weakly, half the letters burned out. I parked and headed to the office. A bell jingled as I pushed open the door. The place smelled of stale cigarettes and cheap air freshener. Behind the desk sat an old man, his face a maze of wrinkles. He didn't look up from his newspaper. "Help you?" he grunted. Yeah. I'm Michael Brennan. I called about the night receptionist job." He folded his paper and fixed me with a piercing stare. "You sure you want it?" "Yes, that's why I'm here." He nodded slowly. "All right then. You start tonight. 11 to 7. $50 an hour, cash. Any questions?" I had about a million, but I could only stammer, "Don't you want to interview me?" He shrugged. "You showed up. That's all the interview I need. Job ain't for everyone." The pay was too good to pass up. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket and held it out. "Memorize these. Don't write them down. Don't tell anyone about them. Break a rule, you're done. Got it?" I took the paper, hand trembling. "Got it. Good. See you at 11. Once I was in my car, I unfolded it and read. Rules for night shift at Whispering Pines Motel. Rule number 1. At 11:15 p.m., turn off the neon sign. Turn it back on at 6:45 a.m., not a minute earlier or later. Rule number 2. If you hear knocking from inside the ice machine, ignore it. Do not open the ice machine between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Rule number 3. Room 237 is always vacant. If anyone asks, say it's under renovation. If you see lights on in room 237, do not investigate. Rule number 4. The phone in the office will ring at 3:33 a.m. every night. Answer it, but do not speak. Listen for exactly 66 seconds, then hang up. Rule number 5. If a guest checks in and gives the name John Smith, give them the key to room 113 regardless of availability. Do not look at their face. Rule number 6. The vending machine will sometimes dispense items that are not food or drinks. Dispose of the item immediately. Do not touch it with your bare hands. Rule number 7. At 5:55 a.m., lock yourself in the supply closet for exactly 5 minutes. Do not come out early, no matter what you hear. I stared at the list, my mind reeling. This had to be some kind of joke, a hazing ritual for new employees. But something in the old man's eyes told me he was deadly serious. I glanced at my watch. 10:45 p.m. 15 minutes to decide if I was really going to go through with this. Pixel's face flashed in my mind. The past due notices piling up on my kitchen counter. The sneer of my former coworkers as I was escorted out of the building. I took a deep breath and got out of the car. The old man was gone when I entered at 11 p.m. In his place was a younger guy, maybe in his 30s, with dark circles under his eyes. "You the new guy?" he asked, already standing up and gathering his things. I nodded. "Yeah. I'm Michael." He grunted, not bothering to introduce himself. "Good luck," he muttered as he brushed past me. "Wait, any advice?" He paused at the door, not turning around. "Yeah. Follow the rules." And then he was gone. I settled into the chair behind the desk, heart pounding. The rules were burned into my brain. At exactly 11:15, I went outside and flipped the switch on the neon sign. The parking lot was plunged into darkness. As my eyes adjusted, I could have sworn I saw something move in the shadows near room 237, but when I looked directly at it, there was nothing there. At 1:30 a.m., a car pulled in. A couple, mid-20s, giggling and hanging on each other. Probably looking for a place away from roommates or parents. "Welcome to Whispering Pines, how can I help you?" The girl frowned, looking around. "This place is kind of creepy, babe. Maybe we should go somewhere else." "Please don't leave," I thought desperately. The guy laughed. "Ah, come on, it's got character. I'm sure it looks better in the daylight, right man?" He looked at me expectantly. "Oh, absolutely," I lied smoothly. "The view of the mountains in the morning is breathtaking. You'll love it." They headed off to their room. I let out a sigh of relief. One normal interaction down. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. I spoke too soon. At 2:17 a.m., I heard it. A soft thumping sound coming from the lobby. I froze, my blood turning to ice. The ice machine. It was gentle at first, like someone tapping politely. Then it grew louder. More insistent. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but the rule echoed in my head: do not open the ice machine between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. The thumping continued, growing more frantic. It sounded less like knocking now and more like something was trying to claw its way out. I could hear a muffled voice too, distorted, unable to make out words, but unmistakably filled with desperation. I clamped my hands over my ears, squeezing my eyes shut. "It's not real. It's not real. It's not real." After what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes, the noise stopped. The sudden silence was almost as unnerving as the thumping had been. I checked my watch. 2:43 a.m. The ice machine would be active for another hour and 17 minutes. I turned to the ancient computer on the desk, hoping to lose myself in mindless browsing, but the screen was cracked, a spiderweb of fractures spreading from the center. And on the keyboard was a smear of something dark and sticky. I leaned closer. It looked like blood. Old. Congealed. The phone rang, making me jump. 3:33 a.m. Exactly. With a trembling hand, I picked up the receiver. Listen for 66 seconds. Do not speak. At first, only static. Then, slowly, whispers. Too faint to understand. The static faded, replaced by footsteps on creaky floorboards. A door opening. Then a voice, crystal clear, as if the speaker was standing right next to me. "We've been waiting for you, Michael." I bit my tongue to keep from crying out. How did they know my name? Did you really think you could escape? That you could just forget? "Oh, Michael, you have so much to remember." The line went dead. I ran to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face. When I looked up at the mirror, I froze. Written in steam that shouldn't have been there in that ice-cold room, were two words. "Remember, Michael." At 4:30 a.m., a man checked in. He gave the name John Smith. With shaking hands, I gave him the key to room 113, keeping my eyes lowered. As he walked away, I caught a glimpse of his reflection in the window. Where his face should have been, was just smooth, featureless skin. At 5:30 a.m., I heard a clunk from the vending machine. There in the dispenser tray was a small, ornate box. Ancient-looking. Covered in strange symbols I didn't recognize. Following the rule, I used a pen to push it into a plastic bag. As soon as it was sealed, the bag began to smoke, the plastic melting away. I dropped it with a yelp and ran back to the office. 5:55 a.m. I all but sprinted to the supply closet, locking myself inside. For 4 minutes and 30 seconds, nothing. Then, a low, guttural growl. Right outside the door. The handle jiggled. Something heavy slammed against the wood, making the whole closet shake. The door bulged inward with each impact. I pressed myself into the corner, biting my fist to keep from screaming. Then, silence. 6 a.m. exactly. I stumbled out on legs like jelly. The hallway was empty. No sign of whatever had been trying to get in. At 6:45 a.m., I turned the neon sign back on. I've never been so happy to see a sunrise. The old man walked in at 7 a.m. sharp. He looked me up and down, taking in my disheveled appearance and wild eyes. "You made it," he grunted, sounding almost impressed. "Want to quit?" I opened my mouth to say yes, to tell him he could keep this hellish job. But then I thought of my empty bank account. Of Pixel, who needed to eat. Of my landlord. "No," I heard myself say. "I'll be back tonight." He nodded, unsurprised. "See you at 11, then." As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Good job, Michael. You're remembering. See you soon." Night 2. I spent the day in a fog. I found nothing about Whispering Pines Motel online, which seemed impossible. It was as if the place didn't exist. The old man was there again when I arrived. He fixed me with that unnerving stare. "Listen, boy. You made it through one night, that's more than most. But it gets worse. You sure you want to stay?" "I need the money," I said weakly. He shook his head. "Money ain't worth your soul, kid. But it's your choice." He stood, grabbing his coat. "Oh, and one more thing. There's a new rule tonight. Check the drawer." Inside the desk drawer was a slip of paper. Rule 8, if you see a little girl in a white dress, do not let her in. No matter what she says or does, do not open the door. Around 1 a.m., an older man in his 60s came in looking exhausted. As I was checking him in, I noticed his hands, covered in what looked like grease or oil. But it was too dark, almost black, and it shimmered slightly in the fluorescent light. He quickly shoved his hands in his pockets. "Had some car trouble on the way," he muttered. Once he was gone, I found myself obsessively washing my hands. At 4:17 a.m., I heard it, a soft tapping on the office door. There, peering through the glass, was a little girl in a white dress. Dark hair neatly braided, a worn teddy bear clutched to her chest. But her eyes, they were wrong. Too old. Too knowing for a child's face. "Please," she called, voice muffled through the glass. "Please let me in. I'm lost. I'm scared." I gripped the arms of my chair, knuckles white. "I'm sorry," I called back, voice shaking. "I can't open the door. It's against the rules." Her face crumpled, tears welling up. "But I'm cold and there's something out here, something bad. Please, mister. Please help me." Every instinct screamed at me to help her. What kind of monster leaves a child out in the cold? "I'm so sorry, I really can't. But I can call someone for you. The police, or..." Her expression changed in an instant. The tears vanished, replaced by a look of pure malevolence that chilled me to my core. When she spoke again, her voice was different, deeper, layered with other voices. Old, and full of hatred. "You'll regret this, Michael Brennan. You can't hide from what you've done. We'll make you remember. We'll make you pay. And then she was gone, one moment there, pressing against the glass, the next vanished into thin air. When I got home, a wave of dizziness washed over me. I squeezed my eyes shut as images flashed through my mind, a stark white room, the smell of antiseptic, a man in a lab coat saying something about successful suppression of memories. My eyes flew open. What the hell was that? One thing was becoming clear, Whispering Pines Motel was connected to me. To my past. And if I wanted answers, I would have to go back. Night 3. The new rule in the drawer read. Rule 9, at exactly 1:23 a.m., go to the vending machine and press B5 twice, then C3 once. Take whatever comes out and place it under your pillow in the back room. Do not look at it. At 1:23 a.m., I stood in front of the vending machine. I pressed the buttons. Instead of the usual clunk of a snack falling, there was a soft whooshing sound, like air being released. I reached in, keeping my eyes averted. My fingers closed around something small and cold. Metal, with intricate engravings I could feel but didn't dare look at. I slipped it under the pillow on the cot. As soon as I let go, I heard a faint whisper, too quiet to make out words. The 3:33 a.m. call came right on schedule. This time, instead of whispers, I heard what sounded like an old-fashioned film projector running. Then a man's voice, clinical, detached. Subject MB continues to resist memory suppression. Recommend increasing dosage and moving to more aggressive reconditioning techniques. The line went dead. MB. Michael Brennan. They were talking about me. Memory suppression. Reconditioning. I saw the oily-handed man from the previous night walking toward room 237. I know I should have ignored it. But my desperation for answers overrode my caution. I followed at a distance. He stopped in front of room 237 and pulled out a key, long, oddly shaped, more like a mechanical tool. He inserted it into the lock, and I heard a series of clicks and whirs like tumblers falling into place. The door swung open. Warm golden light spilled out. The room beyond was massive, far larger than should have been physically possible. It looked like some kind of laboratory, with banks of computers and strange pulsing machines lining the walls. In the center of the room was a chair, no, a throne, covered in wires and blinking lights. And strapped to that chair was me. I stumbled back, mind reeling. I was here, outside the room. How could I also be in there? The man turned, noticing me. His face twisted into a snarl. I ran. As I was leaving at 7 a.m., the old man caught my arm. You saw something you shouldn't have, he said, his voice low and urgent. Be careful, boy. The walls between worlds are thin here. And some doors, once opened, can't be closed. When I got home, there was an envelope taped to my door. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. It showed me, strapped to that chair in room 237. Eyes wide and terrified. On the back, written in red ink. The experiment isn't over, Michael. It's just beginning. I sank to the floor, the photo clutched in my trembling hands. What had I gotten myself into? And more importantly, how was I going to get out?